Hi, Alex Recaps here. Today I am going to explain a movie called Eternal Winter 1944 Hungary. The Voltaire family celebrates New Year. During dinner old Joseph asks everyone to pray, but little granddaughter refuses. She believes that there is no God and prayers will not help because her father will never return alive. Irene does not intend to listen to this from her daughter and hits girl in the face a little later. She apologizes for her actions, but this does not calm the baby, it just hurts her to realize that she practically does not know her dad and is unlikely to be able to fix it. The next morning, a written notification arrives at the Voltaire house that Irene, like other women in the village, must go to the USSR to harvest. Looking out the window, Irene sees that Soviet soldiers have entered their village and are taking away everyone who can work, while the woman is getting ready for the journey and saying goodbye to her daughter. Father and mother fold their bag, giving Irene a book and warm boots. Leaving the village under escort, Irene meets a poorly speaking girl, Anna. She is a beggar and has no food, so the woman helps Anna and gives her a piece of bread. After being on the road for several hours, women accompanied by Soviet soldiers go out to the train waiting for them. Not everyone wants to leave their home and try to escape, but they are immediately shot and the rest are driven into the cars like animals. Calling them Nasu's, women are outraged by such an attitude and statement because they are all Hungarians and have nothing to do with the Nasus. A few days later, train arrives in the Don base, a place where women will work following the orders of the Stalinist regime. Women are kicked out of the cars, but one of them does not get out as she feels unwell and is very cold. Irene tries to draw the attention of one of the soldiers to this, but he ignores her and beats her for persistence. Others help Irene get up, after which women are taken away, forcing them to forget about the seriously ill woman and leave her to die in a cold place. Upon arrival at the camp, women are forced to undress and examine to determine their suitability. After that, Irene goes to the shower room where there is only ice cold water which she can wash herself at the risk of getting sick. Woman has no choice, so she takes a shower and goes with other captives to the barracks, their new place of residence in the near future. Here women find their scattered things that have been disinfected and are suitable for further use. A couple of hours later, one of the soldiers enters the barracks, calling Eva Hermann to him as she will have a special job. The next morning, women are forced to line up to hear the rules for staying in the prisoner camp. According to the Soviet military, they are all traitors who attacked them and destroyed their houses. The dead cannot be returned, but everything that they destroyed, they will have to compensate in full. Women will work in the coal mines of Donbass and help restore the USSR to its former glory. In order to survive, you need to follow a few rules. Strictly follow the instructions, otherwise you will find yourself in a bunker pit. For the guilty, for 3 days without food and water, it is useless to run since their house is 2,000 kilometers away and there are people around who dream of getting even for the pain and suffering brought by the Nazis. In addition, the hellish conditions and cold will kill anyone who tries to escape, and anyone who can catch up will be shot. You can move from the camp to the mine only accompanied by an escort, and those who do not fulfill the norm will be left without dinner. Once the war is over, everyone will be free to return home. First time in a coal mine, the women get shovels and hide from the explosion of hard rock. Here they are met by Fabian, who must control the work of the captives and determine in which aisle they will work the next shift. Anna is identified in the third passage, and Irene asks to send her there too. There are low ceilings, but this does not frighten a woman, and she is ready to work on her knees just not to leave the unfortunate girl. By the end of the shift, each of them must fill one trolley, otherwise the women risk being left without dinner. Fabian also recommends monitoring body and rubbing skin if they notice white spots that indicate frostbite. Not everyone heard his advice, so some women upon returning home remove their skin, along with pantyhose, suffering from unbearable pain. Anna and Irene finish work later than the others, so they return together accompanied by an escort. They are very tired and want to eat, but the food is over because they need to come earlier in the evening. Irene and Anna go to bed clinging closer to each other to keep warm and not freeze. By morning on the next shift, they work together again and notice Fabian arguing with his colleague over cigarettes. Irene asks man to let her go for dinner as she has become worse at work due to the constant feeling of hunger. He is just as much a prisoner as she is, but he can make an exception in exchange for favors and shared leisure. Anna defends her friend and throws coal at Fabian's feet, forcing him to leave. At night, Anna and Irene return to the camp and are again left without dinner, falling asleep hungry. On the third day, women try to work as soon as possible, but still do not have time to get rations and go hungry again. Upon returning to the barracks, Irene is frankly angry with the poorly speaking girl and expresses her displeasure to her, believing that Anna is working too slowly. Having quarreled, girl goes to sleep in the far corner of the barracks. During the next shift, Irene decides it's better to be selfish and fills only her cart so she can get to the canteen as soon as possible. She leaves the unfortunate Anna and leaves having received her portion of food for the first time. While other women criticize food, calling it dog food, Irene greedily pounces on the bowl and eats dinner faster than the rest. Here she Again notices a man staring at her. Anna returns to the camp late at night and having crossed the threshold immediately collapses exhausted. Irene left her some food and shares it with her friends so she doesn't die of exhaustion. The next day of work in the mine, Irene and Anna get opportunity to work in another aisle with more comfortable conditions where they can stand up to their full height. At the end of the shift, Irene finds a spoon that Raymond gave her. She is the only one who does not eat with her hands, so the other captives immediately pay attention to this. Eva is a girl who is in a special relations with Soviet soldiers and commanders. Everyone understands why this is so because she makes love with the head of the camp and enjoys special privileges. During the next shift, Irene notices that her friend is not feeling well. Anna has a fever and can hardly stand on her feet. Woman turns to Fabian for help, but he refuses, referring to the camp rule: if he can sleep then he can work. Irene still manages to persuade him to let them go because the disease can be contagious and not only Anna but the whole team will get sick. Eva helps women get to the medical station, but there are no available beds. Anna can only be placed in a room that is called a transit room. Here people are between life and death. No one is watching or caring for them. Irene does not risk leaving Anna to her fate and takes her barracks to take care of the girl and feed her with a spoon. A little later, Eva visits them and notices boils on the girl's hands indicating that she has typhus, a severe infectious disease. One of the prisoners has no doubt that Anna will die and takes her shoes for herself. In the morning, girl cannot get out of bed, but the commander is not interested in this because she is alive, which means she must work. Irene turns to Fabian for help and asks to get the medicine. He sets her up with a local who can buy medicine, but he demands something precious. In return, the engagement ring is all Irene has, so she gives it away to save her friend. The shift is long over, but man with the medicine never returned. The escort forces women to return to the campus. He is hungry and does not intend to wait. Irene asks to leave them for 10 minutes so that Anna can get some fresh air and at the same time they can wait for the driver with the pills. Noticing the wolf, Irene tries to drag her friend to the camp, but she falls and dies. Woman drags her, but soon abandons her as the wolves are after her, and it is easier to leave Anna's body than to die next to her. Upon returning to the camp, she asks for help and even accidentally snatches a weapon from one of the soldiers, which causes panic and Irene gets hit in the back of the head with a but. The next morning, woman wakes up in a bunker. At some point she hears a noise and finds a passage underneath her that leads to her home. Once at home, Irene meets her daughter and husband but realizes that all this is just a dream. 3 days later, she is taken out of the bunker with signs of frostbite and abscesses on her hands. Raymond notices the absence of the woman and finds her in the so-called transit room between life and death. Man generously pays to doctor with cigarettes to take care of Irene, give her medicine and food. Sometime later, Raymond visits woman to give her an apple and advise her not to sleep because her ailment kills during sleep. Soon he again comes to Irene to treat her with chicken. Woman does not understand how the prisoner obtains such good products. Raymond tells her that cigarettes are the best currency in the camp, allowing you to buy everything and everyone. He also brought sulfur to lubricate boils and asks not to share it with anyone since the thing is expensive and very valuable. Irene does not understand why Raymond is helping her and the man confesses that he has fallen in love with her. He kisses woman but she resists because she has a husband. Raymond is also married and has 2 children, but this is not important in the camp and he advises to forget about family and a normal life. They survive, and here you need to adhere to the rules that allow you to do this. You can't dream or make plans, you can't remember a past life, and you need to constantly wash yourself so as not to get sick sometime later. Doctor reports that Berlin has been taken by Soviet troops and war is ended in the defeat of Nazi Germany. This pleases women as soon she will be able to go home. So far she is too weak to stand up, so the doctor gives Irene an injection of sleeping pills. In a dream, woman sees how she returns home and meets her parents. Returning to harsh reality, Irene returns to the barracks and packs her things to go back to Hungary. Soon women come from the shift and tell that no one will let them go by order of Stalin. They must continue to work and most likely they will die here before they gain freedom. Irene no longer wants to survive the way others do and asks Raymond to help her teach her the rules of life and make her free. In the evening he shows how to make cigarettes and uses pages from Irene's book. From that day on, a woman learns that it is not necessary to work and that the norm can be bought for a few cigarettes. She meets observers and soldiers, many of whom turn out to be quite normal people with whom you can always negotiate. Acquiring useful contacts, Irene begins to collect cigarettes and becomes a free woman, able to take food without a clue and get a double portion. One evening Eva waits for Irene near her bed. A woman has scabies all over her body and she asks for help. Eva knows that she has a sulfuric ointment and asks to share, but Irene rudely refuses as she has learned to think only of herself. A couple of days later, during the explosion, Raymond finds himself under the rubble. Irene helps unearth the unfortunate man and gives all her cigarettes to the doctor so that he can help him. Raymond recovers and the couple decide to retire to the camp commander's office after paying Eve with sulfuric ointment. Irene and Raymond are left alone to make love. 4 years later, Eva recovered and gave birth to a child from the camp commander. Irene and Raymond live together. Woman has also become an overseer distributing workers between the aisles of coal mines. One morning Irene wakes up and hears the soldiers ordering her to pack her things. She goes outside to talk to one of the soldiers and learns that they are being allowed to go home. Not believing her luck, Irene falls to her knees and cries, realizing that soon she will be able to see her daughter Eva with the commander and her daughter leave by truck. The rest leave the camp by train. Upon arrival at the border, Irene and Raymond realize that they cannot go home together. Raymond lives in Yugoslavia, and Irene is from Hungary. They are forbidden to go to a foreign country. The only way out is to declare themselves Germans and leave for Germany. Considering that this is the best option, couple agrees to do just that. Next morning, Raymond is called German and goes to the truck. Noticing that Irene also left the headquarters, he asks to stop and wait for her. Woman approaches Raymond but does not get into the truck, but only hands him a farewell letter. She decided that the family was more important and asked for forgiveness for leaving. Raymond man weeps bitterly and realizes that because of his love he will be forced to live in a foreign country. Meanwhile, Irene returns to Hungary, to her native village, where she meets her parents. Here she learns that her husband died in the war, but there is also a reason for joy, because she finally met with her daughter. And here movie ends. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow at the same time.